listeners. Welcome to another episode of My Slice of Life. I'm your host, Madison Bellissimo, and I'm joined with Lara Repko today. Hello.
Hi.
Independent filmmaker, artist, actor, writer.
Yeah.
And all the things. Multi-hyphenate.
Yeah.
And dear friend. And welcome, Lara, to the My Slice of Life podcast.
Thanks for having me, Maddie.
Of course. And I am so excited. We are going to get into what makes your life so sweet and recent revelations and how that infiltrates and like influences our work.
Yeah.
But before we do that, let's bite into these cookies that I made for you.
I cannot wait.
You asked, I always ask my guests, I go like, what do you want? Are you flexible? And you were pretty like, no, I want a cookie.
I had literally been thinking about a chewy chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
And when you texted me, I forgot that you make baked goods for guests.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yes, this
You're
is
like,
my
I'm
moment.
so excited.
Yeah.
So let's bite into, I gave you almond milk if you want. I'm not sacrilegious,
Okay.
just in case you want it. But let's take the first bite.
This is so good.
Thank you. It's a little cakier than I thought.
Well, it's buttery, which is what I like.
Oh my God, I love a cookie though.
Oh my goodness.
You can't go wrong with them. You had preferences for your cookie too, which I really adored. You were like, a little sea salt might be great. So I added sea salt. You're like, room temp or cold. I was like, I love this because some people usually eat their cookies and they want them fresh out of the oven. And I was like, that's such a unique take. I love it.
These are amazing, but these remind me of my mom's chocolate chip cookies she made growing up. Because I remember at the time thinking like, oh, I need to have like my mom makes these chocolate chip cookies. They're not like American cookies. They're
okay.
I don't know how to explain it, but
yeah.
But these remind me of them.
Oh my
And
God, that's so
I just,
sweet. Well, I hope it's a fun, nostalgic memory. I appreciate it. Again, I might have to tweak them to make them a little chewier next time you come on the pod, but I do think that they're a pretty solid cookie. Or, I mean, I love a cookie, so.
Totally. I'm going to be eating the rest when I get
Yeah.
home.
You get to take them home with you, which is great. But for the audience members at home, know that these cookies were pretty fire. I'm going to be honest.
Super fire. And also like the outside is nice and crisp.
Thank you. So we're going to get started and talk about why I brought you here, which is something that we were commiserating on the other day. Me and you have similar, I feel like, trajectory lately of making our own art. I feel like both you and I have really taken a stab. Most of our friend group is like this, but more like solo, like I'm taking the reins into my own hands. I'm going to do this. How do I produce art that I really am passionate about, that I love, that feels indicative of the kind of person and artist I am.
Totally.
But then make it at the level that your taste is, right? That's my big crux, is feeling like it doesn't match my level of taste all the time. I don't think you have that issue, but
I totally understand.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of open the floor to you to talk about what some more recent revelations have been for you.
Yes, I'm so glad that when we started talking about this, you were kind of asking about what we should talk about. And when you mentioned it can be career, it can be life, it doesn't really matter. It can be anything. There was this thing that I've been thinking about a lot recently, because I feel like 30 and 31 were big years for me where I decided to take the reins into my own hands. Kind of like what we've mentioned before is that Joan Didion quote from your last from your solo episode. Just this idea of like, if we want our life to change, we have to do it.
Absolutely.
Like no one else is going to do it for us. I was thinking about it. I was like, I feel really good. Like, especially at 31. I'm going to be 32 in like 5 months. I can't believe it.
Incredible.
Honestly, probably less than that. It's wild. But it's all because I feel like I built up this time when I was 21 and 30 to kind of become the person that I look at today, and I'm like, oh, this is who I've wanted to be. Like she's here, she's me.
What a beautiful experience
I know
you're going through. That's incredible. That's the goal.
Thank you. I know, and it's like, obviously, it doesn't mean I'm not gonna have times where I'm like, I wish I could be doing other things or be this kind of driven or whatever, but it is very satisfying to me. And I think what made the change for me is I kind of decided to get out of this audition mode, literally and metaphorically,
Yeah.
and take the director's chair
Brilliant.
and of my life
Yeah.
and decide what was it in my life that I was looking at that wasn't working and how can I change that, because I had this codependent relationship with acting and my
Interesting.
art, which I'm
Mhm.
sure a lot of us can relate
Relate
to.
to.
Yeah. And when everyone kind of has their own definition of codependency, but for me, codependency is when I have a relationship with something or someone where I am relying on that thing to give me validation,
Mhm.
and I am changing myself in order to get validation from that thing,
Mm.
because I've been told either by society or by myself that that thing that I want is like what I'm supposed to have in order for life to feel good.
Yeah, or creates your value.
Totally, exactly. And I
Yeah.
think, I mean, obviously in our society, I feel like career and being successful and winning all the time
Mhm.
is like we're taught that from kindergarten when we have to say what we want to be
Yeah.
when we grow up.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So true.
And I was reflecting on like how I got to that place of why was being an actor, specifically only an actor, where did that come from of like, I want this so badly. And I can trace a lot of it back to my youth growing up in a very Christian environment, which
Oh.
I have no judgment around how I grew up. I had an amazing childhood and teenagehood, and I think religion and faith and spirituality can help a lot of people in many ways. I'm proud of my upbringing,
Yeah.
but I will say, my views on how that works in spirituality and stuff are different now. But it's
Yeah.
because I'm an adult and I
Yeah.
can now reflect and decide what I do and don't believe or how I want to, go about
Absolutely.
that. But as a child, when you're taught, I remember at 5 years old, our Sunday school teacher was like telling us about how Jesus died on the cross for our sins.
At 5 years
And
old.
at 5 years old. And
Uh-huh.
it's like, you sit there and it's normal just to hear of like, this person was nailed to the cross, he was bleeding, and it's because I was a bad person,
Mm.
And so I actually love this story. I think it's so indicative of the kind of person I am. But the teacher was like, so does anyone else want to bring Jesus into your heart? That's usually the way they say it.
Yeah.
Like, who wants to bring Jesus into your heart? And none of the other 5-year-olds stood up, and I felt bad for the teacher. So I stood up.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I stood up, other people did.
Yeah, of course.
Anyways, I love that story. I think it's just kind of
Shows your personality.
shows my personality a lot. But it also shows that kind of from a young age, I was taught that like I'm not deserving of good things because I am a sinner. There is an omnipresent being that knows better than me, that I don't know what I want as much as this other kind of being does. But I also feel like that really translated over to school and my career. So even in college, I'm sure you can relate to this. Professors love on the first day of
Yeah.
theater school being
Oh.
like, there's 25 of you here.
Yeah.
By the end of this year, half of you will have left.
Yeah.
If you want, like,
Yeah.
it's so dramatic, but it's also, as artists, because we care so much about what we do and we want to do anything in order to get that thing.
Yeah.
It turned into this thing of like, no, it's a competition. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to show them I want this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do anything. I'm going to be in whatever situation. I'm going to do literally anything
Yeah.
in order to get what I want.
You'll be ruthless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it means changing myself to what a director wants.
Sure.
And so I kind of noticed that throughout that time, like, it was just like, okay, well, what does this professor want from me? Like, how do I need to change? Even if I thought I had done a great monologue and they came back and told me, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
I would shift it doing what they wanted me to do, even though it didn't feel authentic.
To your acting.
To
or-
my
yeah. Wow.
It was like,
That's
this is-
relatable.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure like a bunch of actors and artists can all relate to this. And then as soon as I left college, I decided, okay, now that I'm out here, I need to do the thing. Like, this is how it's done. And I feel like from the get-go, I was one of the things I learned in school and one of the things I learned with like casting directors, just watching them and, coaches that I had paid a lot of money to see
Yeah.
were this whole thing of like, okay, here's your type. Here's what you need to do to fit that type. And for me, it was about like shifting myself a little bit. Like I usually got cast, the types that I had when I was getting my headshots fresh out of college was like, you're a victim, you're a customer service, but kind of like upscale customer service person.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And but even like the whole victim thing is like, yeah, you're going to be the victim in the interrogation room in the SVU series, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I was like, okay, so that means I can't get my nose pierced or I can't dye my hair different colors,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. So at the end of the day, it was like, I'm changing myself to fit this part that I'm hoping to get. And I just feel like the older I got and the more I started getting desperate for auditions and feeling like I'm not a famous actor, I'm about to turn 26 and I'm not on, Netflix. Like, what am I doing?
Sure.
The more desperate I got to try and change myself to fit what I was told that filmmakers needed. Because, they always tell you, casting directors always tell you, like, we don't want you to change yourself. Like, we just want you to be yourself.
Yeah, of course.
And if
Just act natural.
just act
be
natural.
authentic.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, but if I don't get this at the end of the day, I didn't get the job and I didn't get the money to pay for my rent. And at the end of the day, being myself, okay, would I wait for like one person to be like, okay, we want you?
No.
Like I have to continuously try and figure out what it is that you want me. You want me to be natural? Okay, well, what kind of natural do you want me to be?
Yeah, how natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I turned 25, I made this this one woman show, and I acted in it, wrote it, produced it, and it was an hour long. And I remember driving home after the opening night, and I'd booked out the house. It was like over 100 people booked out this
That's incredible.
theater in Sherman Oaks. And I remember thinking to myself, it was like this euphoric, very calm feeling. And I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is how it's supposed to feel. And I didn't quite recognize what it was that I was feeling. I just knew I wanted to start telling my own stories. Because in my own stories, for example, like in my play, my own stories are provocative, they're uncomfortable, they're kind of, there's like an innocence to them. They're pretty, they are pretty revealing, and it's kind of like sexy.
Yeah.
But also kind of youthful and wholesome at the same time.
Yeah. Because all those truths can be in the same category. Like they can all coexist.
Literally.
Yeah.
I love that. It's so true. So after that time, it was like, I didn't know how I was going to do that again. It was like, I want to do this again. And then I went through a period of feeling shame because I was like, oh my gosh, I really opened up a lot about my past in this play, and I am embarrassed. And, it's so normal to look at earlier work that we make and be like, this is how I would change it. This is what I would do differently.
Sure.
But I think it was the first time I really experienced this feeling of like, was it okay that I was just me at that time?
What an interesting question to ask yourself.
Because I knew there were people that didn't like it or that were uncomfortable, which of course, whenever you make art, people aren't going to like it.
Yeah.
But it was my first time really realizing, oh, I'm going to have to get used to that. Like, this is going to be a normal thing.
I just want to say a couple things. First of all, I didn't even know you had a one-woman show until Veronica, our mutual friend, told me semi-recently. We were talking about Fringe, and she was like, yeah, that's how I met Lara.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, I had no idea. What an incredible thing. I want to see it. She said that you might have a recording of it somewhere.
I think in the archives somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere, I hope. She said it was fantastic. Like, she really couldn't have gushed more about this project. And I was like, I want to see this. This sounds amazing. And I'm similar to you. I do enjoy some provocative art from time to time. I love a taboo subject, as we know. So it's so interesting to hear that and hear you reflect on that and feel this dichotomy of wanting to give yourself permission to fully explore that, but then having this overwhelming sense of like shame or guilt after
Yeah.
and being like, well, was that the right choice?
Yeah.
Because now I have to go back to the drawing board a bit, like, because now you're in charge of keeping that going, right?
Yes.
Like sometimes, or to your point, you do it and you know it's not always well received.
Mhm.
But I would argue, and I hope you agree, that art isn't always supposed to be well received.
Yeah.
You know, like that's kind of the point of art. It's
Mhm.
like it is supposed to provoke feeling and
Yes.
thought and questioning. And so even sometimes I'll say personally with like a dose of like recovering perfectionist, you know?
Totally.
Yeah, going like, I can't have people not like it.
Absolutely.
You know, and
Yeah.
then, but at the same time, you're like, it's way better than making anyone feel indifferent about my art. Like,
Yeah.
my worst fear is like putting out art and then people having nothing to say about it,
Yeah.
right? Or like just not being able to relate, not being able to disagree. In this day and age with social media, it can get quite vulnerable putting out your art.
Mhm.
And any keyboard warrior can be like,
Yeah.
fuck you, blah, blah, blah. You know, and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, well, that's not what I would say as someone like you respect their opinion, you respect their taste in art. But even like putting it up in a 100-seat theater and feeling like there's some people that it might have made uncomfortable and feeling that gut instinct to like, oh, do I go back to my old ways, which
Yeah.
was arguably more digestible,
Yeah. Absolutely.
right? Or
Absolutely.
do I do something that made me feel alive? Like that
Yes.
sensation of what you were describing, coming home and being like, it was calm, it was strong, it was this overwhelming sense of like, I know what I'm doing and wow,
Yes.
I'm meant to do this. And it's funny that you said, like, I kind of know the answer now, you know, right? But it's at the time, I can empathize with how deeply questioning that moment still would be. Like, as much as you like in hindsight, it's easy to be like, oh, you didn't know
Mhm.
what that sense of belonging was.
Mhm.
But at the time, you'd only been acting, you'd been doing that you were probably like, oh, see, I am supposed to be an actor.
Yeah.
Instead
Exactly.
of like the overwhelming or like the all encompassing of what you did, which is you wrote, produced it, and put it up
Yeah.
and acted in it.
Yeah.
And again, that marriage sometimes is the secret sauce.
Right.
Some people are meant to do that.
That is literally what you just said is so affirming. And
I'm glad.
yeah, I love what you said. Like, that is the secret sauce. Sometimes that is what someone is supposed to do.
Yeah. Because some people, you know, it's like, they're like, just put me, and like,
Yeah.
I commend people that are like this, you know, that are like, I'm just here to do my job. You tell me the lines. I'll look at the lines. I memorize them. My mark, done. I go home.
Yeah.
And like, I would assume that you had the similar sensation that I felt where when I was like, I have so many ideas.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you get like jazzed and like you have this like vibration that you're like, well, we could do this. And like, what about if we change the camera angle and like, oh my God, that would be fun if we did this. And like, what about a tracking shot? And then like, or you think about like, oh, well, I like ingesting this kind of material, but again, my taste, I kind of want something a little more edgy.
Yeah.
I want a nuanced character or person, figure.
Totally.
You know, I've felt that so deeply, and it seems like you might as well because you go, I can be wholesome, I can be classy, I can be like a front facing,
Yeah.
like, hi, you know,
Yeah,
like
everyone loves. Yeah.
everyone loves a like approachable young
Yeah.
woman, right? And I can talk about sex and politics
Yeah.
and religion and have a point of view
Yeah.
and like a damn good one, might I add. You know,
Totally.
you're
You're
like,
so
or
sweet,
something that is again provocative or just like thought, you know, like critical thinking, you know,
Yeah.
critical thinking is at the forefront of it, where you're
Yeah.
going like, I've questioned all of this and that's why I have this opinion. I'm not just developing this opinion or adopting it from people
Right.
before me. So to be able to share those ideas and like really stand 10 toes down in them, it must feel so affirming and freeing that you're doing that now.
Totally. And that's what I love about even what you were saying about feeling like you can have a point of view. That's why I like your podcast,
Oh,
because
thank
you're
you.
allowing yourself to have a point of
Yeah.
view.
Yeah. That's why this media form, and
Yeah.
it's so funny because I was talking to another close friend of ours the other day, Ia, who's a director.
Yeah.
And her and I were laughing, and I was saying, like, she was like, I wanted to be a pop star when I was a kid,
That's
because
so
she was
sweet.
like, that's all I knew in Sweden
Yeah.
as far as like this, and I just found it so sweet and, again, relatable. I'm like, we've all had that dream.
Totally.
And again, acting was the most accessible thing for all of my loves at the age of 5, right?
Totally.
Acting, singing, dancing, all of it. But now with age, I'm like, actually, podcasting has become like, this is a different career that I can do all the things that I appreciate and love doing, which is connecting with others, communicating, being on camera, having a voice, being front facing. Like, I was like, there's a certain thing that I thought was only accessible through acting, and you might have had that too.
Yes.
And now you're like, whoa, actually, I can have so much more and be in charge.
Literally.
Yeah.
Are you an eldest child?
I'm not.
Oh,
which
you
is
have eldest child
I know.
energy.
It's so funny. I'm actually the baby, which is crazy.
I love it. Okay.
I'm crazy,
I'm
but
obsessed.
I will say, just sidebar really quickly for anyone that's interested. I always find it funny because I have such a large age gap between my siblings.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. So I like weirdly was like kind of raised as an only child at one point, like where I was just me and my parents at the house. And all the time I get eldest daughter.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, you're the eldest daughter. And I'm like, actually, I have an eldest daughter, and she is the eldest.
Yes.
And I'm like, that woman has her shit in check. But thank you. I take it as a compliment. You know?
I was going to say, I was like, there's probably an age gap or something.
Huge
'Cause
age gap.
definitely, that's like where it comes back.
Yeah.
You know, the
and
eldest
again,
kid.
I think it's to prove yourself. It's also, and I relate to what you were saying earlier of like, I have no regrets about my childhood. I feel so overwhelmingly privileged and lucky for the opportunities that my parents gave me, for the household that they brought me up in. And I still, you still are trying to cater to like making them proud, making them like not love you. It's not like a earned love, but more of a like, I need to make them proud. I need to do good. I need to show them what I'm made of, Yeah. And I think religion can absolutely influence that, like you said.
Right.
Or even that sweet story that you said of feeling bad for the teacher.
Feeling bad for the teacher.
And being like, I'll stand up.
So now it's like, it's so true. It's like there is this little thing in us that kind of wants to be approved of.
Yeah.
Even if we don't think we have that, that is a little thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I feel like after my play, I went through a couple years of not writing my own work because I was like, once again, I have to be an actor,
Yeah.
And it was in my late 20s that I realized, and this time it was like, I had a coach tell me, she was like, you're starting to look older. You need to not wear as much makeup. Her whole thing was like, there's not many roles out there for people 30 up. There's just young professionals.
My God.
And she's like, since you don't have any credits, you need to be looking as young as you can for as long as you can.
Sure.
In order to get those roles. And at the time, what I didn't realize is the older you get, the more people drop out of the industry.
Yeah.
So the less competition you have
100%.
in that age group. But at the time, again, I was looking for this. I had convinced myself I was going to be this actor. I had been wanting it since I was in 9th grade. And because I was holding so tightly onto this passion, I was becoming miserable. I was not happy. I felt like I was honestly kind of really down a lot of the time because I wasn't really, I was chasing after this thing. And that's where the codependency comes into. You're chasing after this thing that you think is going to bring you validation and approval.
Yeah.
And it's never going to slow down. Even if acting, for me, in my opinion, even if acting slows down and stops and's like, Lara, we accept you today.
Welcome into the club, kid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what about the next week
Yeah.
when it's never going to be attainable? And I feel like at some point in my life, for a long time, I thought that's what I wanted. I want to be the chaser because I'm good at chasing.
Yeah.
And I'm good at fighting. I'm good at conquering things. I'm good at mastering something I need to work on.
Sure.
And one day, I remember in my late 20s when I had this like realization of like, I have been allowing acting to be it's like chained me at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I started getting some auditions and I was like, I kind of don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? You're kind of like ruining my schedule.
Yeah.
I was going to hang out with some friends tonight.
Yeah. And now I have to worry about a self-tape.
Yeah. And it feels like I don't want to do this. It's not appealing.
Yeah.
And, but you know, if I was 23 at the time, that might be appealing.
Sure.
Because it'd be like, I can win this audition.
Yeah.
You know, I can, anyways.
Because
But
I think your self-worth is,
absolutely.
like,
It's like improved.
yeah. Well, I was going to say, I think it's wrapped up in it.
Yes.
Like I think that like want to conquer, that want to win the role, right?
Yes.
That want to like be the best.
Exactly.
Like of the corral of the
Yeah.
people that they auditioned. Instead of being like, I know I do good work.
Yeah.
If this is right for me, it's right for me. Or, and again, there's a lot. I'm not saying that that's the only way of thinking, but there is something to be said about, I think, as you matured and you got to know yourself even more and got to understand how great you are outside of acting. Because
Totally.
that's one thing too, I think, with young actors. Identity is such a huge thing.
Totally.
You get so wrapped up of like I'm an actor. And
Yes.
I always got so frustrated in my early 20s when I would tell anyone like dating, family friend, person that you meet at a mixer,
Yeah.
otherwise. And they go, what do you do?
Yeah.
In the one of the first questions. And you're like, I'm an actor. And they're like, oh, that's great. And have I seen you in anything, right? That's the golden question. But I find it so funny. Like no one says like aspiring lawyer when you're trying to
Yes.
like pass the bar exam or something,
Yes.
or if you're doing like, when you're in med school, right? And you're doing residency and you're not technically like a full doctor yet. You have to complete they're not like aspiring doctor. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, the doctor that's doing residency. And it's
Right.
like, you can get a fucking master's in acting and people are still like, oh, you're an aspiring actor.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's aspiring about this?
Yep.
Like, and it's just because there's no way you can't do A, B, and C. And then that means you're a successful actor,
Yes.
successful performer. And I think that's where our identity gets so wrapped up in it. Our self-worth gets so wrapped up in it. If you're not careful. And when I'm saying if you're not careful, I'm putting myself in that category.
Right.
Been there so many
Totally
times.
relatable, yeah.
And I think it's so easy to fall into because you just assimilate that. You go like, well, if I did get the role,
Yep.
then I'm obviously a good actor.
Yeah.
And so often it's not the case. Like it's
Yeah.
not the person that wins out the role is not like the best person that ever auditioned
Right.
for them ever in their lives. It's like their specs were good. They were the perfect height. They had the kind of smile they were looking for. They wanted curly hair for this spot because
Yeah.
something about the greenery in the background, it looks really good with curly hair.
Totally.
And you're like, what the hell?
In some ways, you can't win because you don't know the rules. And I think I was at this point in my life, particularly 28. When I, halfway through 28, some things shifted in my life. And one of them was like, I don't care about winning this game that I've been playing.
Yeah.
I don't care about
That
it.
I created for myself.
That
Right?
I
Yeah,
created
yeah.
for myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to look at myself as weak for walking away from it
Mhm.
because at one point in time I was told, if you keep going, then you'll get there one day.
Just keep going. Yeah, just pushing through.
Yeah, I was like, I don't care. I'm investing money, time, and energy into this thing that is not giving me what I want it to give me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I decided, okay, I need to go back to my self-creation kind of thing that I discovered when I was 24 writing this this play. I was like, okay, I need to shift and just try this. Try this. And initially what happened was I got laid off from my job at the time. It needed to happen. I was like, I need to leave because I'm getting stagnant at this point.
Sure.
And I think I was 29, just turned 29. And it was this point where I was like, okay, this is the perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect time, and I have all the excuses in the world. My excuses are I've never produced a short film before. I've never written a short film. I don't have the money.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone X, Y, and Z. And I just remember kind of thinking, yeah, but if I want to do this, I have to try it.
Yeah.
And what really was helpful is because I had done the play in the past, I remember telling myself, I was like, I can do anything. Like, I can literally do anything.
Yeah.
I memorized 13 different characters and performed on stage with blocking and lighting and sound cues. Like,
Yeah.
I can literally do anything. What am
Yeah.
I talking about? And I have a voice and I have important things to say in an arena that I think needs that I can do well in, aka the horror kind of genre that we
Yeah.
can get into.
Yeah.
So and anyway, so I ended up producing this short film, but even just it's unreal the level of kind of like the shift in my life when it comes to acting. Because originally I made it to cast myself in a horror film because I was like, well, I want to be an actor in horror films.
Yeah.
And then I came out the other end being like, I don't really know if I care about acting as much as I thought I did. I care about creating a story and telling it
Yeah.
with other people.
Yeah.
And my friend told me something so lovely, and you mentioned something similar. She was like, you're more than just an actor. You have other gifts.
So many.
Not that there's anything wrong with just being an actor, as you
Yeah.
said before.
Yeah.
It's just you as a person have other things that you're good at.
Yeah. And meant to do.
And
Because
meant
there's
to
some
do.
people that are meant to only act.
Yes.
And that is, again, when I say only, I'm not saying that as a negative. I'm saying like that's their focus.
Yeah.
That like they literally can't take their eyes off the ball because that's not their journey.
Totally.
And then there's other people that are supposed to be spinning multiple plates at the same time, and I think you're in that category.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just, I don't even know how to explain it, but I've just been the past couple months reflecting on that shift from the codependency on my career. And I think a lot of it comes from taking the reins into my own hands,
Yeah.
making the choice to do something that's hard because I know how to do hard things.
Yeah.
Reminding myself that I'm worthy of enjoying the art that I make. That I don't have to just kind of follow and make whatever is popular.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm also allowed to be exactly who I am in my work that I create with other people. And it's good exactly how it is.
Yeah.
I don't have to change. You know, like sometimes kind of going back to the growing up thing of we think we can't be this specific type of weird because that specific type of weird is not acceptable at school or, you know, at church or with parents or whatever. And I began to notice another shift. This is when I was actually creating my short as well. I was like, I'm having this reckoning of realizing the kind of art I like to make and that I like to consume. And I know a lot of people don't like it. I like a lot of weird, kind of fucked up stuff. I'm not
Sure.
going to lie.
Yeah.
Like some of the movies I like are not, a lot of people would not like.
Really?
And I have a lot of, the kind of art that I like is kind of what I mentioned with my play of it's taboo, usually taboo subject.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable for a good majority of people to watch.
Yeah.
It's sexy, it's hot, it's kind of nasty and gross.
Yeah.
And it's not pretty.
Yeah.
You know? Like but in that, even though it's not pretty, the messiness is kind of like beautiful in itself. I can go into a whole other tangent about
No,
that.
I love this. I think it's so interesting that you were able to identify this.
Yeah.
Some would say, like, I would say at such a brilliant point in your career. Because,
Totally.
you know, you might, if say you told 23-year-old Lara,
Yes.
like, in 10 years or like 9 years, you're going to discover
Yeah.
that you actually really like this kind of art, you would be like, what? Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? How did I get there? You know,
Yeah.
or maybe you would be like, oh, I see it. But you would be like, how does the journey get me there? Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or because I like that, if that's what my future self likes, I know that a lot of people don't like that. So how am I going to be successful?
How do I survive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And literally, like the amount of times I know myself, the amount of times I've ever tried to subdue my voice in what I create or write or anything like that, I walk away feeling like I'm dishonoring myself. And so I really think now I kind of look at my past self who was just wanting to be an actor and try to be the kind of actor that could get cast and kind of, shying away from the parts of myself that people might question or not like. I feel for her because she just wanted to succeed in how she thought success was.
Yeah.
But now when I look at success, obviously I want to one day be making a lot of money on creating work. But I view my success now of like, I've found people who like making similar things that I like making.
There you go.
And just because some people might not understand it, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that. And in anything, I take a lot of pride with the stuff that I like.
Yeah. You should. It's your taste.
Yeah, it's my taste. And I know I also, it's like I found my niche or niche or whatever, my avenue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm perfect for this.
Yeah.
I'm working on some projects right now where, I mean, the second I was told the storyline, I was like, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Like, it's really exciting because I feel like my shift away from acting, even though I do love acting, of course, and I would love to be in my friends' projects and my own, my shift away of like, well, I really like telling stories. And it's like, I'm no longer knocking on this door hoping that one day someone's going to open it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm entering into this doorway where I'm already wanted, I'm already invited.
Yeah.
And I created this doorway and realized that when I entered the room, everyone else had created doors to enter that same room together. So even like, for example, I was kind of going into the fact that I love horror. Growing up, I wasn't really allowed to like the things that I like now, the art that I like. And so that's one of the thing that draws me to it is because it's kind of like it's misunderstood. And I've also felt like the other people in the horror film community at the festivals, everyone is just so stoked to see each other's projects.
Yeah.
And they're like, they don't take themselves seriously. We all know we're making things about monsters that jump out of the dark.
Yeah.
Like we're not taking it seriously. And it's just wonderful knowing that I am in these spaces now that I was like, I made this happen for myself.
Yeah.
And it came from releasing this need to be approved of by this by this acting career that at the end of the day, I don't think was ever going to give me what I really wanted it to give me.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that now I'm approaching my career and future differently with doing this different artistic path, I've also put a lot less there's less stakes in it. Because it's something I love so much that I don't feel like I need validation from.
Yeah.
I'm then able to recognize I don't need X, Y, and Z to happen in order for me to feel happy in my life.
Yeah.
I don't need to be doing this movie. I don't need to be having this amount of money to be doing this short or whatever. Because I've really thrown myself into my community, my friends and family. And at the end of the day, that's where I get my value from, is like, my value is from just my innate value as a human being, and also creating environments where I can be with my friends and family, welcoming environments is like, that's of the utmost importance of me. And then this career thing that I also love is separate, but I'm able to pull myself away from it more.
Sure.
Whereas in the past, it was like, no, acting is going to make me happy.
That's everything.
Yeah.
It sounds it's quite inspiring what you've gone through as far as being able to mitigate that codependence, being like, this not only doesn't serve me, but it doesn't inspire me and like fulfill me in the ways that I once thought it did or had convinced myself it was going to. And then I think it really deeply resonates what you were kind of, what you were alluding to of feeling like you have a spot at the table.
Yeah.
And the, your metaphor of you created that doorway for yourself.
Yeah.
And others created that doorway. And now you all are able to be in that room together. Yeah. And I think it's, like you all have a seat at the table. You all are able to collaborate on something that you are truly passionate about and something that fulfills you and brings you happiness. And again, inspiration, that's worth every penny, every effort, every tear, every, bloodshed. And I think for you to go through this journey of taking the codependence away and letting acting be there, not like cutting it out cold turkey, being like,
Mm-hmm.
you fucked me over, I'm not doing this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I love you and I've loved you, but
Mm-hmm.
it's time for me to also pursue other things that fulfill me.
Yeah.
And in doing so, you've been also able to go back to that first love of
Yeah.
acting in a more appropriate space.
Yeah.
Like, again, in genres that you actually care about, in creative teams that you really want to collaborate with,
Yeah.
that you feel seen and heard. So it's really quite inspiring for you to share that story. And I'm so happy for you. And I mean, I think it relates to what you were saying of, we started talking about all this because of the Joan Didion quote. We were
Yeah.
like, you messaged me about the last episode. You were like, girl.
Yeah, I was like,
And I was
girl,
like,
I've been
girl.
there. Yeah.
And we both were able to commiserate and talk about it. And I think you're the prime example of coming out of that, right? Of deciding that you had the driver's
Yeah.
wheel for your life. And you were like, buckle up, buttercup. We're going.
Right.
We're doing something that actually you want to do and feels like at home.
Yeah.
And you have been able to do it. And now you just produced and starred in
Yeah.
your own short that is now doing the circuits,
Yeah.
the festivals. I don't know if you want to touch on it.
Yeah,
but
we're going to Montreal in 2 weeks for
Incredible.
this
For
festival
Fantasia, right?
for Fantasia. I'm literally mind blown. Like when I think about it, I was like planning my outfits for what I want to wear.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I was the one who woke up one day and was like, okay, I need to put a team together.
Yeah.
Like if I hadn't
You
have
did
done that,
this.
I wouldn't be doing this right now.
No, and it's one of the most prestigious like
Genre film yeah.
festivals that out there.
Yeah,
Like
especially
people
in
hear
North
that
America.
and they're like,
yeah.
holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
yes, and you should be so proud of yourself.
Thanks. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of the fact that I reached out to people who were so kind and
Mhm.
wanting to also work on this project with us.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously so grateful towards my amazing writer, co-writer, director, and co-producer,
Mm-hmm.
the amazing Sam Fox. We
Hey,
just
Sam.
adore her.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've actually never met Sam, but I've heard so
she's
much.
so cool.
Shout
like,
out. We should be friends.
Yeah, she's so cool.
Yeah, I've heard every time I see pictures of her or like media of her, she's just so exactly what you're describing.
Yeah.
Of like, know thyself. Like I feel like her style is impeccable. She's just such a fun air, like fun, zesty, like punchy air about her. And I'm like, it's quite creative.
Yeah, and she's also someone who inspired me because I remember we were kind of briefly talking about her work in producing her own work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she started when she was like 29 or something. I could be getting that incorrect, but I remember just meeting her, meeting other producers, writers, directors, and realizing that it actually wasn't that long ago that they were beginning to create their own work. And now they're like working with these amazing people. They're making amazing work, and they have people are like really want to work with them. It's just inspiring, especially like, of course, I love just seeing women in a space, knowing that like women are making these spaces for themselves. Especially, I do also think that the horror genre right now is really, really wants more women's voices, to hear women's voices. So yeah, it's just awesome to think that like I'll get to go to this really amazing festival and be with my awesome team and just celebrate the work that we did together, that we literally created out of our brains.
Yes.
We took out of our brains and made it. And we know it's weird, and not weird, but we know that some of this genre can be polarizing.
Yeah.
But we know that it's the right people will like it.
Oh, and you're going to the perfect festival where it's going to be appreciated.
Yeah, exactly.
Like all of your colleagues and all of the networking that you're going to be able to do here.
Yeah.
What a fantastic opportunity for Lara.
Yeah, exactly.
Like separately from your film, Open Wide. Like that's going to be incredible. You're going to be able to network and show your art and make friends and meet new collaborators.
Yeah.
But like Lara is going to be able to do that. And I feel like you're going to be with people that are so akin to you, So it's very, very exciting.
And it's just, I think that was the biggest literally, I will tell you, like, this last week, I was just sitting, I was on a walk,
Mhm.
and I was thinking, wow, life feels really good. And I think it's because I'm really coming into my own
Mhm.
and allowing myself to be disliked by people,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, I'm being authentic to myself and my work and what I want.
Mhm.
And that is so much more fulfilling than trying to shift what I create for someone else just to like it.
And be a cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Like we had a short break here in between the
Yeah.
episode, and we talked about, you said something that I deeply, deeply co-sign and agree with.
Yeah.
And you were saying, like, people always think that they're the most magnetic or
Yeah.
like the most attractive when they're like
Yeah.
buttoned up, polished,
Exactly.
like rare. I'm not a hair out of place,
Yeah.
Stepford housewife, you know? And I think what you had said, and I completely agree with, is it's not that. It's
Yeah.
the messy, it's the intense, it's the like funny, it's the absurd
Yeah.
of that makes people so unique and authentic. And
Right.
that's what makes them so attractive. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that as you've come into this new chapter of your life,
Mhm.
you're like, holy shit, I feel fantastic.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, I feel the most me, and I feel so satiated with life. I feel
Totally.
so, again, like just inspired and catapulted into the what I think I'm supposed to be doing. I finally get it. I
Yeah.
finally feel solidified, which
Yeah.
I think leads us perfectly into the first question, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
which is, I ask all my guests this, but if your season of life currently
Okay.
was a genre of TV, film, musical
Yes.
theater, anything, a video game,
Uh-huh.
what would it be? And then the follow-up question with that is, what would the audience be screaming at you?
Um, so I would say, in those movies where it's usually like coming of age movies
Mm-hmm.
where they have a realization and they
Mm-hmm.
go like running through the
Oh
town.
yeah, the run scene.
Yes.
The run scene in every rom-com is
Yes.
my favorite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like their hero moment.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's where I'm in right now. And it's not a chaotic run. It's not a chaotic, frantic feeling. It's a very calm feeling of
Yeah.
like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I was right this whole time.
Yeah.
And the audience would be screaming. I think they would be screaming like, "You're so fucking cool."
Yes, Lara.
And the reason why I say that is
Yeah.
because I think it's really easy not to think that we're cool.
Yeah.
Based on, at least I feel like I feel like the older I've gotten, the more I've really realized, no, I really have something to say that's cool.
Yeah.
And like,
Again, your perspective, your point of view.
yeah. And like people relate to that, and it doesn't, and so I'm not even saying that in like this,
No.
pompous way, obviously. I'm just being
No.
like, yeah, I look at people that, and when I relate to something they say, I'm like, they're so fucking, like, their art is so cool.
Yeah.
Or they're such a cool
Yeah.
person. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of like, that's what the audience is telling me right now is like, we like you. Like,
Yeah.
we think you're cool.
Yeah.
And
What's the line that Vince Vaughn says? It's like, you're so money, baby, and you don't even know
Yes.
it. Like, I love that.
yeah. And I feel like in this case, it might actually not even be the audience telling me that. I think it's Lara.
Yeah.
It's this Lara who's looking at
Yeah,
herself.
which is great. Lara can be in the audience.
Yeah, Lara
You can
can
be
in the
watching your
audience.
own thing,
Yeah.
and being like, fuck yeah, I'm cool as hell.
Yeah, I think it's Lara, definitely.
I love that.
Yeah.
Incredible. And our second question is, what moment, mantra, material item has brought you joy recently, or like is your simple pleasure?
Okay, so I have this little mantra, and I cannot remember what book I got this in, but I have it written up next to my computer, and it's something I think about whenever when I'm on a walk or when I'm kind of at a peaceful state. Maybe I'm doing something kind to myself, is treating myself like a precious object makes me strong. And I do agree. I think we kind of touch on this briefly. It's really easy in this hustle, we must get all the money we can culture to rush and to kind of be in like boss mode all the time.
Yeah.
But
Optimization. I think
exactly.
optimizing is the unfortunate name of the game right now.
Totally.
And I think, not to interrupt you, but
No,
I
it's
think
okay.
it's as much as it can really catapult us into a really great forward movement and trajectory, it can really hinder us because if we're only focusing on optimizing, we're not able to actually enjoy the little
Yes.
things and then we burn out.
Totally.
Yeah.
And we just turn into a machine.
Yeah.
And so I feel like what I try to do now, kind of a little like routine and ritual, because I'm really into like kind of like, rituals in our daily lives,
Yeah.
is like, how can I treat myself like a precious object today? Okay, I'm going to take a bath. I'm going to use the bath bomb I want instead
Yeah.
of just saving it for the perfect day.
Yeah.
I'm going to just say positive things about myself
Yeah.
as I'm seeing myself in the mirror while I'm brushing my teeth. I'm going to get a little bit dressed up today because I do love getting dressed up.
Yeah.
It
Why
feels like I'm adorning my body.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I definitely think that is a little mantra and way of going about treating myself that has been really helpful.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What a great answer. Do you have anything else? You don't have to have any follow-ups for the material items or moments, but just wanted to give you the floor in case.
I think a material item that brings me a lot of joy is my pillow.
Really?
It's been like this for years.
I love this. Wait, give me more specs on it.
So every time I wash my sheets,
Yeah.
my scent goes away.
Uh-huh.
And then the more I sleep in it, the more it smells like me and it smells comforting. And so whatever happens during the day, when I come home and I put my head down on my pillow, I feel like I'm coming home to me. And because I feel like we don't really know how we smell, and I'm a big smeller, like I'm very conscious of scents. And obviously, like when I'm with someone I care about, I really just love kind of memorizing their scent.
Yeah.
And so being able to know what I smell like is like that's kind of like loving towards myself.
Sure, it's a familiarity.
Yeah.
And like you said, bringing yourself home. That's beautiful.
So it's been that way for years. Even though my pillow has changed over the years, the scent has not.
I love that.
So yeah, that's my little special object.
That's brilliant. And our third question
Yeah.
is if, like, from all of these trials and tribulations, you've had such a beautiful story arc, so to speak, of what you've told on this pod about learning so much about yourself. So with all of those learnings, those hard moments, those curveballs, what advice would you give someone to about life, about, making life better for themselves moving forward?
Oh my gosh. Let me take a moment to think about this.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I know my answer. So I think and I've actually turned this into an important part of my life that I've really implemented, particularly when I turned 30. Because when I turned 30, I kind of did not care about half the stuff I cared about in my 20s. Suddenly I realized my life begins at 30. And one of the most important things I did is throwing myself into my community. And particularly when it comes to discovering new places and new people you've never met before or don't understand or are curious about. So, for example, I make it a priority to try and be social at least once or twice a week, whether that means going out and meeting strangers at an event I'm at, or being with my friends, or getting coffee with someone I haven't seen forever. A few of the reasons why that's helpful is because it reminds you of all the newness in the world that you've yet to discover. So just because right now might seem like, okay, I have this in my life, there's always more to discover. The world is always going to be new.
Yeah.
There's cool people out there that could be your friend, you could work with, you could, all of those things.
Yeah.
And I really think we do ourselves a disservice when we decide, I don't want to go discover something new.
Yeah, you shut yourself off.
Yeah. Or, I sometimes feel like this can really easily happen to people who are like getting married or, this idea of like, well, now I have my life and I'm settling down.
Sure.
And so I look at it as like, it's so important to always be exploring newness and trying new things, because there are things I've tried in the past or just read more about or explored about that I like now that I never in my wildest dreams thought I would be interested in the
Yeah.
past.
Isn't that such a luxury
Yeah.
too?
It
Yeah.
is, it is so, it's like it gives me a new perspective on life,
Mm-hmm.
especially since at one point in time I thought if I didn't have all these certain things by 30, it meant something about me. Now it feels like I'm never going to have a peak. My life is never going to reach a peak. It's
Mhm.
always going to be moving up and
Mhm.
forward.
Mhm.
And I feel a lot of that just by throwing myself into new situations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Beautiful advice. And I completely agree. I'm a huge advocate for just like getting out of your comfort zone, doing
Yeah.
something. I'm like all about adventuring, all about, and not, like whatever that means to you. Some people adventuring is like free solo climbing.
Yeah.
Not for me, you know.
Yeah, same.
But maybe it is.
Yeah,
Maybe
one
I
day.
need to do it. But more in the like whatever an adventure means for you, like broadening your horizons as much as you can,
Yeah.
exposing yourself to new things is such a brilliant and you know, all encompassing love language. You know,
Mhm.
I think you really are loving yourself by exposing yourself to new people, new things, new environments, new tastes, new smells, and yeah, you just make your life all that more fruitful. So
Yeah, I think another thing, and then I'll stop
please,
going
no,
on this,
no.
is that it adds spontaneity into your life. And I
Mhm.
think something I didn't realize was missing from a good portion of my 20s
Yeah.
was how much I enjoy spontaneity.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's a lot of it is like just making the decision. I don't know anyone at this event. I'm going to go anyways.
Yeah.
I'm talking
And
to
you've been
someone.
doing that so much lately.
Yeah.
You should be very proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just really fun.
yeah.
So I think, yeah, spontaneity is important even as we get older. If anything, I'd say it's more important.
Yeah. Keep it alive.
Yeah.
Alive and well. Thank you so much for coming on the
Yeah.
pod. This has been so fun. And I love that we were able to like just organically commiserate before you even came on
Yeah.
here and then be able to continue the conversation. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you so much.
And so if we want to support you in the Fantasia Festival and Open Wide, where can we find you? Where can we look at all your stuff?
I just have everything on Instagram. So
Okay,
Lara,
perfect.
LARAREPKO on Instagram. I have everything there. And yeah, I'm hoping that we can, if we get into a certain festival that I hope we get into in LA, then it would be my LA premiere. And I'm going to invite all my LA friends out to see it. So
Oh my
we'll see
God.
if we get into that.
Perfect. Well, fingers crossed. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed that you do. And thank you again for coming on. I had so much fun with you today.
Oh, thanks
I'm
so
going to
much,
send you
Maddie.
home with some cookies.
Fun.
And you'll have to come back on and we'll chat more about where life brings us in a couple of years. How about
Yeah,
that?
I love it. Thank you so much, Maddie. You're
Of
so good
course.
at this. I love
Thanks. Thank you, everyone. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the things. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.